All right, Niagara Falls Mayor Jim Diodati is back to talk about what's happening around the city, and I will point out that we're basically matching today.
We are.
I mean, I almost wore jeans, but
and you gotta get the kicks going on
absolutely,
too.
Absolutely.
Right?
What's going on, man?
Spring is around the corner.
Great to see you.
Good Niagara boy. Hey, I got a bad dad joke.
Okay.
Is that okay?
All right, we'll indulge you.
This is kind of for Brian's sake, right? Okay. What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo?
I don't know.
One's really heavy, the other a little lighter.
That's a bad joke. All right, you had to get that in there. I indulge you. You got the okay from Brian. All right. Okay. Mayors, you recently went down to Washington, some of the great Lake City mayors. I know you're a great Niagara River mayor, but why didn't you go?
Well, first of all, we're not considered part of the big city mayors because you have to be 100,000 people. Even though we're not officially there. And also, certain mayors were invited to go to the Great Lakes Cities Initiative. I've gone in the past. I've been to Washington in the past. But this year, a group of mayors did go down to represent us. So I'm glad that they are. I am part of the Border City Mayors Alliance, which goes right across Canada. All the mayors along the borders are working collectively with our counterparts in the U.S. side. And we're working at collaboration, network building, and trying to knock down the idea that we're competitors or that we're enemies. We're friends. We're allies.
Well, let's talk about this because the tariffs, they seem to be paused and unpaused. How is it affecting the city right now?
Well, the first thing, the most obvious thing is tourism. Now, luckily, there's not been any major cancellations of any American conferences or tourist visits, which is great. You know, 40,000 people count on tourism to feed their families. Last year was a record year. This year could be as well because of the exchange rate. Huge advantage for Americans. Typically, 25% of the visitors to Niagara Falls are American, and they represent 50% of the revenue. There are 600 manufacturing companies in Niagara that represent 30,000 employees. 72% of their products are exported to the U.S. That we're watching very closely. So, I mean, living on the border, obviously, it matters, and good relations with our neighbors are an important key.
Let's talk about good relations. The Ontario election was recently held. Doug Ford's PCs won. You endorsed him. Wayne Gates won, the NDP, longtime MPP for the region. What do you hope to get with with Wayne Gates as your MPP still, and with a PC majority government?
Well, I've got to work with everybody, and obviously it's always a big advantage if your MPP is part of government. If not, they can still advocate. Luckily, I've got great relations with the Premier and all the ministers, and you know, the Premier came back with one more seat than he went into the race with. He's got 80 seats and a super majority, and honestly, I think I've been very impressed with his performance on the international stage as Captain Canada, dealing with the U.S. This is not an easy time right now. I can't think of anybody more suited to do this at this time. And I got to tell you, I just had a number of Americans in town on the weekend, and they love him. They've been watching him on CNN, on Fox, and they were asking about him. And they said, you know, good for him. You guys got to stand up. And the other thing, too, Louie, this is great that we're pro-Canadian, but we don't want to ever become anti-American. This is not, Americans love Canada. They love Canadians. This is about one person. This is about President Trump. And for whatever reason, he thinks this is a good way to negotiate. It's not. The U.S. is going to suffer as much as Canada through this. And let's face it, tariffs are just a fancy word for taxes. It's going to hurt a lot of people.
We got about 60 seconds, so I want to get to a couple of things that you want to discuss. First of all, some tough news a couple of weeks ago. Wayne Campbell, longtime city councillor, huge role at the municipal government. Sad to say goodbye.
Wayne Campbell, great guy, and it was so nice. We had some shirts made up. Chris Dabrowski, a city councillor, made these caricature shirts. We named one of our transitional housing buildings there, the Wayne Campbell building, as you can see.
Shirts.
There we are, all of council around his seat at City Council just a couple of days before he passed. Great guy, 28 years, and he mentored me before he even knew it, because every time there was a vote, Campbell came before Diodati. So I would always watch him, and we're going to miss him.
And real cool result, Lucas Body. I mean, we talk about him quite a bit, but another great result on Friday.
Yeah, great Niagara Falls boxer, 19-0. This guy, he's ready for a title fight. We expect it to come very, very soon. He just defended his spot again this weekend in Toronto, and what a unanimous decision again. Lucas Body, great guy, great boxer.
Great ambassador for the city of Niagara Falls, just like you, my friend. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks for having me, Louie.
All right, always great to have Jim Diodati here in studio. Stay with us. We got much more to come as we look at a look there at the border, a very important important part of Niagara Falls. But stay with us here on Morning Live.